Hollywood, darling. It's always been a town built on dreams, on fantasy. A place where celluloid gods and goddesses were manufactured, their images meticulously crafted for an adoring public. We see the sparkle, the glamour, the larger-than-life figures staring down at us from the silver screen. They were icons of romance, the embodiment of the American dream. But what happens when the Klieg lights go down and the cameras stop rolling? What secrets are whispered in the shadows of those sprawling studio lots, long after the last cut is called? Behind the perfect smiles and the fairy tale romances broadcast in gossip columns, there was often a carefully constructed illusion. This was a performance just as demanding as any role they played on film, because for these stars, the curtain never truly came down. The pressure to conform, to fit into a neat, marketable box, was immense. This was the era of the studio system, and with the strict Hays Code dictating morality, that control extended deep into the private lives of the stars. And for some of the biggest stars in the world, whose real lives didn't fit the wholesome image the studios were selling, that meant hiding who they truly were behind the sacred institution of marriage. These weren't just any unions. They were elaborate productions, carefully managed by agents and studio fixers. In the hushed circles of Hollywood, they had a name: lavender marriages. A lavender marriage is a marriage of convenience, a carefully orchestrated arrangement designed to conceal the sexual orientation of one or both partners. It was a shield against a prying public, a ravenous press, and the studio heads who could end a career with a single phone call. To be anything other than heterosexual in the Golden Age was not just a scandal. It was career suicide. The studios, the press, the morality clauses buried deep in every contract. They all worked together to forge a gilded cage. Beautiful on the outside, but a prison nonetheless. Your name in lights was the prize, but the price was your own truth, your own identity. It was a world of smoke and mirrors, where the line between the person and the persona blurred completely, sometimes to the point of vanishing. Tonight, we're going to pull back that heavy velvet curtain on this hidden history. We'll explore the stories of legendary stars who lived these double lives, whose public romances were perhaps the greatest and most tragic roles they ever played. These are the stories from inside the gilded cage. Rock Hudson? Just saying the name conjures an image, doesn't it? The ideal of post-war American masculinity. Tall, broad-shouldered, with a smile that could melt millions of hearts. He was Hollywood's quintessential all-American man, the dream date, the perfect husband. On screen, he romanced Doris Day and Elizabeth Taylor. The studio invested millions in this image, and the public bought it completely. They believed he was living that same idyllic life off-screen, but that life was a meticulously crafted fiction. The truth was, Rock Hudson was gay. In the hyper-conservative 1950s, during the height of the Lavender scare, this wasn't just a scandal, it was career suicide. Studio contracts had morality clauses, and homosexuality was a violation that could vaporize a career overnight. His agent, the formidable Henry Wilson, was a notorious Hollywood kingmaker. Wilson had discovered Hudson and given him his name. Wilson, himself a closeted gay man, knew Rock's secret and would protect his biggest investment at all costs. The pressure mounted in 1955 when the feared Scandal magazine threatened a massive exposé on Hudson's private life. For Wilson and the studio, this was code red. The fallout would be catastrophic. A solution was needed, fast, public, and convincing. It came in the form of Phyllis Gates, Wilson's own secretary, pretty, unassuming, and by all accounts, completely starstruck. Wilson saw her as the perfect prop. He immediately began orchestrating their romance, manufacturing a love story for public consumption by arranging staged dates and tipping off the press. For Rock, it was a terrifying off-screen performance. He was pushed into a corner, forced to act out a romance he didn't feel. Every stage photograph reinforced the cage being built around him. And what of Phyllis? In her memoir, she claimed she was deeply in love and had no idea. But others have suggested she was ambitious and complicit. Whether she was naive or willfully ignorant remains debated. The wedding was rushed. The press photos showed a beaming bride and a handsome groom. The plan worked. Wilson made a deal, sacrificing two lesser-known actors to kill the Hudson story. The crisis was averted, but the marriage was a disaster. Phyllis wrote of a brief, passionless wedding night. Rock was often away. She claimed she eventually confronted him with evidence of his encounters with men, leading to a tearful confession. Trapped in a sham, the pressure was immense. After 3 years, Phyllis filed for divorce, citing mental cruelty. The studio ensured her silence with a settlement. The charade was over, but the secret was safe. Cary Grant was the epitome of worldly sophistication. But behind the charm, whispers followed about his intensely close relationship with Randolph Scott. They lived together for over a decade in a beach house nicknamed Bachelor Hall. For the studios, this was a problem. In 1934, Grant married actress Virginia Cherrill. The whirlwind romance seemed the perfect solution to quiet the rumors. But after only 7 months, Cherrill filed for divorce. She accused him of being cold, controlling, and even physically abusive, a shocking crack in his polished veneer. Many speculated the marriage was a Lavender arrangement gone wrong. If Grant was forced into a role, the strain could explain the anger she described. His career survived, and he retreated to his life with Scott, who remained the unspoken constant through Grant's 5 marriages. We travel back to the dawn of superstardom, the silent era. A world built on flickering images and dramatic gestures, where stars were not just famous, they were gods. No god was more worshipped than Rudolph Valentino. With his smoldering eyes and dangerous passion, he wasn't just an actor, he was a phenomenon. He was the Latin lover, the ultimate romantic hero who promised an exotic escape. But off-screen, the story was far more complicated. Whispers followed him, suggesting his closest relationships were with men. For the studios who had invested millions in his image, this was a potential catastrophe. Valentino himself was fiercely protective of his masculinity. The pressure exploded when a Chicago editorial derided him as a pink powder puff. The insult was so threatening to his manhood that Valentino publicly challenged the writer to a duel. It was in this climate that he met Jean Acker, an actress connected to Hollywood's clandestine lesbian circles, particularly the orbit of the powerful star Alla Nazimova. Their courtship lasted mere weeks. Married on November 6, 1919. Immediately after, Acker fled to their hotel suite and locked Valentino out. He reportedly pled through the door before going home. The marriage was over before it began. Acker later claimed a jealous argument. But Hollywood's enduring theory was that this was a Lavender marriage, a mutually beneficial arrangement to provide cover, beards for both bride and groom. As a lesbian, the sudden reality of legal bondage to a man became unbearable. The locked door was both a literal barrier and a symbolic act of panic. Valentino filed for divorce. The union was annulled. The public humiliation fueled the very rumors he sought to escape, forcing Valentino into an exhausting, embittering battle to defend his masculinity. For Acker, it became a defining footnote. After his death, she styled herself his first wife, clinging to a sliver of his immortal fame. It's a raw glimpse into the chaotic early studio days, before PR mastery. 2 likely queer people tried to use marriage as a shield. It exploded into a public scandal. He later married Natasha Rambova, another unconventional union. When Valentino died in 1926 at 31, mass hysteria enshrined his myth. Yet the Acker marriage lingers, a strange, sad story about pressure, performance, and a slammed door that wrote itself into Hollywood legend. The stories of Rock Hudson, Cary Grant, and Rudolph Valentino are more than old Hollywood gossip. They are poignant chronicles of human beings navigating an impossible landscape. Their lavender marriages were acts of self-preservation, desperate bids to hold on to careers in a hostile world. These arrangements expose the pressure LGBTQ+ individuals faced to live a double life, to perform a role at odds with their hearts. These tales are vital film history, a reminder of the human cost behind the fantasy, and just the tip of the iceberg. Hollywood's hidden history is filled with whispers, secret loves, carefully guarded truths. What other stories do you know? What other couples navigated this world? Share your thoughts below. Let's uncover the stories left in the margins, because they matter. They are part of Hollywood's story. Thank you for joining me. Understanding the past helps us appreciate the progress and the work still to be done. If this fascinated you, like and subscribe for more secret histories. Until next time, keep looking past the glitter.